Now we have Kelly Tung. Kelly Tung is a sophomore at Monta Vista High School. As the president of the DT40 Silicon Valley chapter, Kelly strives to help teens develop design thinking skills and discover and create all kinds of possibilities. Kelly has vast leadership experience, such as being the chair of the City of the Cupertino's Teen Commission, the president of Design Thinking for Teens, Silicon Valley chapter, the president and executive director of Youth Environmental Power Initiative, and the student executive board member for Walk by Cupertino. Welcome, Kelly.
Hello, thank you for the introduction. Let me share my screen for my presentation. Okay, perfect. So hi all, welcome to my design thinking workshop. I'm very honored to be presenting at this hackathon, and I'm very excited to share the design thinking approach with all of you, and I'm sure that this approach will help you with your innovation for this hackathon. All right, let's get started. So I know that someone already introduced me, but I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Kelly Tung, and I am a current sophomore at Monta Vista High School. I am currently the president of the Design Thinking for Teens Silicon Valley chapter, where we spread the idea of design thinking, and we also implement design thinking programs in schools. I'm also the president and executive director of the Youth Environmental Power Initiative, a nonprofit organization that aims to raise awareness for sustainability and develop future leaders to help combat climate change. Okay, so let's kick things off with a quote of the day. As Winston Churchill once said, "The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty." So what's the difference between his first statement and his second one? I would like to encourage all participants to unmute themselves to answer this question, and there are no wrong answers.
Girls, please unmute yourself and try to answer the question that Kelly asked. And as we mentioned earlier in yesterday's briefing session, your participation is very important and we are going to consider that towards your judging. So please announce your name, the team you represent, and then answer this question.
Thank you. All right, so who wants to go first?
I'm Annie. So I think the difference between the two is that, well, the pessimist is, having a very fixed mindset and doesn't, see like what good could come in the future. The optimist instead, takes every opportunity as something to improve and that, changes or like new improvement,
Yeah, that was really great. That was a great answer. Would anyone else like to contribute to this question?
Hi, my name's, oops. Okay, you can go ahead. Okay, hi, my name's Chelsea and I'm from the Annie Easley team. And I like to think of it as the pessimist thinking that the cup is half empty, and then on the other hand, the other party would think that the cup is half full. So more metaphoric, but yeah.
Yeah, great answer.
Could you please say which team you are from?
The Annie Easley team.
Okay, and also the first participant who spoke is from which team?
I'm from the Katherine Johnson team.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I think I heard one more person speaking, so feel free to contribute as well.
Yeah, so I'm Zoe from the Katherine Johnson team, and kind of like earlier people said, the pessimist is like, the person that doesn't see like good things that can happen, so that sees difficult in every opportunity. Like the pessimist doesn't see new opportunities or something they can do in the future, and the optimist can see things that like are good things in the future that they can move towards, like goals.
Yeah, that was a really great answer, Zoe. So Yeah, I think that's good for this question. I will have more questions down in the future. So if you guys would like to join or earn participation points, please feel free to chime in. But for this one, you guys you hit it on the nail. You talked about the mindset, about the opportunity. So as I'm going to say, the main difference between the two statements is the mindset. So in an ideal design thinking mindset, views the problems and the challenges as opportunities. So for example, many global challenges such as environmental injustice, resource scarcity, food security, and poverty can all be seen as opportunities to find solutions. Let's move on to the definition of design thinking and see how this quote directly ties into design thinking. Okay, so what is design thinking? Well, design thinking is a 5-step approach to solving problems that focus on building solutions on user experiences. It is an approach that can help you solve problems creatively while addressing the needs of your users as well. These 5 steps consist of empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Remember, design thinking is a non-linear process, so you can always jump between the steps as you become more familiar with them. Utilizing design thinking not only provides an effective way to solve problems, but it also changes your mindset into one that embraces problems as opportunities, as we mentioned in the question of the day earlier. Now, before we move on, could someone tell me what you think the most important step of design thinking is? So whoever would like to get some participation points, please unmute yourselves.
My name's Elizabeth, and I'm part of the Hector Garcia Molina team. And I think that the most important part would be empathizing, because that's kind of where you start. I mean, you can't really fix the problem without knowing why it's a problem for the people that are struggling with it.
Great answer. Would anyone else like to contribute?
I'm Kavitha from the Annie Easley team, and I think the most important part is the idea part of it, because like you can't really make a solution without an idea first.
Yeah, that's also a really great answer. Okay, perfect. Then we'll move on to finding out the answer. Okay, so as the first participant mentioned, I would argue that the empathizing or the empathize portion would be the most important step of design thinking. And why is that, right? Well, as we mentioned earlier, design thinking is a human-centered approach. So essentially, what makes design thinking unique is that it is user-centered, and that the empathize phase of design thinking is essentially what makes the process user-centered. And with that said, empathizing is also the first step to design thinking as well. So as we mentioned in the presentation, empathy is the centerpiece of design thinking. So what is empathy? Again, feel free to answer by unmuting yourselves.
I'm Annie from the Katherine Johnson team. Empathy is when you sort of put yourself in someone else's shoes and you try to understand it from their point of view, their problems. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Or yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Annie. I think this is your second time participating, so. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm on the Preeti Shankar team, and I would say in order to empathize with your users, you have to communicate and reach out to a broad spectrum of users, so many different types of people, so you can actually like curate your solution to multiple people. And it goes back to the whole trying to eliminate bias from your machine learning and AI.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I really liked how you tied it back to artificial intelligence, machine learning. I think I'll take one more answer before we move on. Who would like to?
This is Sonia from the Katherine Johnson team. I think empathy is like the ability to understand other people's perspectives.
Yeah, perfect. That was a simple, clear explanation. But yeah, great job, everyone. So empathy is the ability to understand other people's situations, relate to their feelings and challenges, and recognize their emotions. So when you empathize with your user or users, you're basically building, or it helps you build user-friendly products that target the needs of your user. So we have all heard the phrase that asks you to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And this idea is actually very critical in design thinking. So you'll need to leave behind your personal opinions, your personal emotions in order to understand problems from your users' perspective rather than your own. So how can you empathize with your users? You can observe them, you can communicate with them, you can ask them questions, and you can immerse yourself in their environment. So by building a connection with your users, you can appreciate their differences and also uncover their needs as well. Asking the question why can also always help you gain a better understanding of your users' thoughts as well. Okay, so we've covered the first step in the design thinking process. Oh yeah, so I did want to ask and pose this question to you all. How is Apple user-friendly? So what are some of the features that they implement in their products that makes them desirable to their consumers?
Wait, is anyone else going?
Hello. I was gonna say
Oh, hi.
I'm Sophia from the Catherine Johnson team. I'm pretty sure. Apple is user friendly because it uses very simple, like it's a very simple like interface to use, and it doesn't take much to figure out how to use the phone and all of its features.
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. I was gonna say too, like Apple's products have really simplistic and easy designs, which makes it really easy for the users to utilize their products. I know Android is a very popular competitor to Apple, but I think one of the main reasons why people prefer Apple is because Apple is less complicated and it's generally easier to use than Android products. But yeah, great job on that one. What other features do Apple products have that make them user friendly?
My name is go ahead. Okay. My name is April. I'm from the Kimberly Bryant team, and I think a big part of the simplicity part is the home button and how like it's kind of consistent in all their products, and also they have a lot of other apps that are personalized, like the clocks and stuff. So I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, great answer. I like how you talked about integration, how they have like great apps, well, like not just the phone itself, right, but the apps within as well. Okay, gonna take one more answer. Who'd like to tackle this problem or this question?
Hi, I'm Nitya from the Hector Garcia team, and I think that Apple is user-friendly because it caters to people that also have disabilities, and that's like something that Siri helps with, so.
Yeah, great answer. I actually was thinking about that too, but in a different sense. I think Apple is actually very famous for its great customer service, which isn't a product, obviously, but as a company that actually makes them very, very user-friendly, right? Think about it. Through their great customer service, Apple demonstrates that they truly care about their consumers and that they're always ready to help solve any problems that their users face, right? So their customer support encourages users to stick with Apple, and that's because they always feel welcomed and that their needs are attended to. So yeah, and then something else I just wanted to bring up, I think the person who mentioned about the integration kind of hit it too. But Apple uses a lot of integrated systems in that their products work with each other. Like for example, my MacBook and my iPhone work very well with each other as it's really easy to send pictures, PDFs through AirDrop, and find my iPhone makes it very easy for users to locate their Apple devices as well. So through all of these features, you can see that even large companies such as Apple utilize the fundamentals of design thinking as well. So that really highlights how important design thinking is, and that, a lot of people use it. Okay, so that's great. Let's move on to our second step in the design thinking process. Okay, so this second step is the define stage. So in this stage, you'll be utilizing the information that you collected in the empathize stage to craft your problem statement. A well-made problem statement is important in design thinking because it brings both focus and clarity to your project. Your goal is to identify the key problems that you want to solve based on the vast variety of problems that you found in the empathize stage. So how do you make a problem statement? Well, that's where the point of view statement, which we will refer to as POV statement, comes into play. This statement summarizes your thoughts in a singular statement from the user's point of view, and this guides your team towards the specific needs that you have uncovered. It also helps you frame the problem, and it creates a sense of possibility that inspires you to find solutions. A POV statement consists of 3 elements: the user, the user's need, and the insight that you have gained from the user. As you can see in the presentation, I've included a structure of the POV statement. So user needs a way to, needs verb, because surprising insight. So it might sound a bit weird, but let's test it out and see how this POV statement works and how the structure works as well. So I'll start with a simple example. So say we have a girl named Madison who is left at school because both of her parents are working. So in this situation, if we want to form our POV statement, we would say Madison, who is the user, needs a way to go home, which is the needs, and a verb, by the way. So go home is, again, like a verb, because her parents are unable to pick her up from school. So through that, we basically tackled who this problem is targeted towards, which is Madison, her need, which is to go home, and then her surprising insight, which is that her parents are unable to, take her home. Okay, so that was a very quick and easy example of a POV statement. But let's try another scenario with you guys involved. So let's say that a boy named Richard is allergic to the food offered in his school's cafeteria. So how can we reframe this into a scenario or into a POV statement? So whoever would like to get your participation points, please unmute yourselves and answer this question.
Okay, my name's Elizabeth. I'm part of the Hector Garcia Molina team, and I forgot the kid's name.
Oh, that's all good. Richard.
Okay, so Richard needs a way to eat his lunch or get his lunch from school because he's allergic to all the food that they serve.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, and one thing I do want to mention is that you can phrase a POV statement in like a variety of ways, right? It's not limited to just one way of saying it. So let's hear from another participant. How would you frame this exact scenario, but how would you frame it differently?
This is Annie from Catherine Johnson team. I would phrase it more generally and say like students need a way to or students need access, or students need a way to receive food without allergens because of the risk of allergic reactions.
Yeah, I can see how yours is broader, or kind of targets like a more broad audience. So yeah, that could work too. Let's hear from one more student before we move on. Does anyone want to get your points?
Yeah, my name's Kavita from the Annie Easley team, and I was thinking Richard needs a way to eat lunch because he's allergic to all the food they serve at the cafeteria.
Yeah, perfect. All 3 of them were really great. So you guys kind of get the hang of that, but essentially a good point of view statement should be human-centered, which all of you guys did, broad enough for creative freedom, which I think, in a way, I think all of your statements did, were broad enough to allow for creative freedom, but they should also be narrow enough to manage, so it's not entirely too broad. And then the last thing is that it needs to be action oriented, so it inspires people to take action. It should also clearly indicate who the users are, what their needs are, and then also include the insights that you collected in the empathize stage. After you develop your POV statements, you can rephrase your POV statement into a how might we statement to help transition to the next phase in the design thinking process. So let's use Madison's scenario to phrase our how might we statement. So for her situation, we might ask, how might we encourage Madison to carpool with her peers? So in that way, you've successfully reframed the problem. So I'm going to pose this question to you all. How would you phrase your how might we statement for Richard's scenario? And this question is also up for grabs.
This is Sonia from the Catherine Johnson team. So how might we help Richard get food he isn't allergic to? Does that work?
Yeah, that does work. It doesn't, how do I say this? You don't necessarily need to say like a solution within the how might we. You can like ask like, how can we solve this problem? That also kind of identifies your problem as well. So that definitely works. Anyone else?
This is Sarah from the Preeti Shankar group. My answer is, how might we convince the school to provide food that Richard is not allergic to?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so in your scenario, you kind of made it more like solution oriented. How are we gonna get like this solution to get done? So yeah, that definitely works too. And then I'll take one more response to this question.
This is Malika Mera from the Annie Easley team. I said, how might we create an alternate option for Richard since he is allergic to all the food?
Yeah, that works too. So as you can see, one question, comes up with a lot of different ways to phrase it. So yeah, that was really good, guys. Okay, then let's move on to our third step in the design thinking process. So according to Stanford D.School, ideation is the mode of the design process in which you concentrate on idea generation. So this demonstrates that the ideate step is where you demonstrate ideas and solutions to tackle the problem statement that you identified in the second stage. This step provides the fuel for building prototypes and getting innovative solutions to your users. So by utilizing the how might we sentences you created in the second stage, you're basically turning your problems into opportunities, as we again mentioned in the question of the day. So I encourage all of you to think outside of the box during the stage and to be creative. There are many ways to tackle your defined problem, and coming up with as many ideas as you can help you design a really well thought out solution. So this goes directly to your hackathon, right? So we presented, I think, 3 topics like education inequity, climate change, like the crisis in itself, and also like gender inequality. So there are a lot of different ways to tackle this, obviously. So you should generate as many ideas as possible and then choose one that you want to focus in. But during the brainstorming process, you should try to come up with as many ideas as you can. And again, there are no wrong ideas. And even your crazy, wild ideas may very well lead to a breakthrough innovation. Okay. So that is the ideate process. Then let's move on to our prototype stage. So you can refer to this as also like an experimental stage where you will come up with various prototypes or build various prototypes. So in our previous stage, we've already come up with various ideas, right? So in this stage, it's time for you to validate your ideas and make a quick, simple and cheap prototype of your ideas. So you should create a model designed to solve your users' problems and use this to test in the next stage of design thinking. I know all of you guys are avid hackers, so maybe you're thinking, oh, I have to code a really well thought out app in order to use it as a prototype to show others. Actually, that's not it. You really only need the materials around you, like paper, pencils, glue sticks, scissors, etc., to build your prototype, right? So one popular form of prototyping is creating a paper prototype. So let's watch this YouTube video to understand more about paper prototyping and how it helps the design thinking process. And just a note, I'm going to ask you guys to provide a summary of what insights you gained from this video. So please do make sure to pay attention while this video is playing. And it's quite
paper prototypes are
sorry, 1 second. It's quite quick, so just pay attention for like 2.5 minutes, and then you guys can come up with a summary. Okay, then without further ado, let me make sure I'm screen sharing the sound. Okay, perfect. Then let's begin.
Paper prototypes are a fast and cheap way to test ideas for products and services. As such, they are an integral part of the design thinking methodology. By showing paper prototypes in user interviews, you can get a better understanding of user needs and also use it as a basis to experiment on, during and after the interview. To start off, let's talk about commonly used materials. These include a pair of scissors, tape, glue stick, marker, post-its, and paper and cardboard in various colors. Let's say you want to test your newest business idea, a dog food delivery service. If, for example, you want to visualize an app or a website, you can start by drawing a simple interface. It doesn't matter if it looks crude. I actually recommend it, because that way users are encouraged to talk honestly about the concept itself. In contrast, a highly polished prototype draws the attention to details like button placement and color choice. People also tend to hold back their honest opinion because they do not want to devalue your fancy prototype you've obviously put so much work into. The same goes for physical objects like wearables. This technique is called wireframing and allows users to get a feel of your idea. Having a physical representation of the device helps to understand the implications of wearing it. Would I take it to work? Or wear it when doing sports? Services, on the other hand, are a different story since they are intangible. So try to pick out a part of the service experience you want to focus on. Let's say you want to host a convention for dog owners. One prototype could be a written invitation, another a program overview. Use these as a starting point in interviews. Here I am building a dog food shipping package. I can use it not only to test its content or size, but also the unpacking experience and whether the instructions are clear enough. To sum it up, while paper prototypes lack the functionality and detail of a traditional prototype, they are great for evaluating early concepts from a user perspective. They can be created and adapted very quickly, and in case users don't like them, simply discard them. That was my short overview of paper prototypes. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments.
Okay, so we'll stop there since that was basically the end of his video. But I'd like some people to let me know. So what was the main idea of his video? Like, what did he say specifically about paper prototyping that stood out to you?
I'm Chelsea from the Any Easily team, and I can tell that there's different ways that you can demonstrate a prototype. There's like ones for apps, services, and more physical designs. And I think the point of this type of prototyping is like to make it more interactive for users and make sure that it's user-friendly.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. I think I remember like 2 years ago, I was building my own app, and before I even like coded anything, I first drew out all the interfaces to make sure they looked okay and asked like a lot of my friends like, oh, what do you think? So yeah, I definitely related to this on a personal level. What about anyone else?
Hi, this is Zoe from the Catherine Johnson team, and like she said, basically this prototyping is like interactive with the user to see what they think about it, and it's like really simple, like roughly trying to figure out what your app or product is supposed to look like. So yeah.
Yeah, great answer. Anyone else?
Sorry, go ahead.
My name is Geneva. I'm from the Catherine Johnson team. But one thing that stood out to me was that it's very like in the way that it's user focused and like really like quick and simple to make. You can see what the users think and then make those adjustments really like quickly and cheaply, so you're not wasting a lot of resources or time.
Yeah, great. I think I heard 2 voices speaking, so yeah, go ahead and contribute.
This is Sonia from the Catherine Johnson team. So like I learned that if you want to create an app, you can like draw out all your features to plan everything out, and it's like easy to fix or change because it's just a prototype. So like you don't put much effort into actually creating the product, and then you realize there's an error or you forgot to add something. So
Yeah, perfect. You couldn't have said it better. All right, I'll take one more response and then we'll move on.
This is Kavitha from the Annie Easley team, and the thing that I thought like was really interesting was like people will be more likely to tell you their real opinions about something when like they can tell that you didn't put much effort into it, so they won't feel bad for like making you like feel like you wasted all that time.
Right, yeah, that's definitely something that he mentioned in the video. Also, as you can see, and as you've taken away, paper prototyping is a very fun and also helpful way for you to bring your ideas to life and also help aid the design thinking process. Okay, with that, we will move on to our last stage in the design thinking process. Oh yeah, and then remember, you can always jump stages. So let's say you do your prototype stage, you test, but then you jump back to prototype to do like some refinements. That's totally okay, right? It's a non-linear process. You can even jump back to brainstorm if you find out, oh, my idea doesn't work. So yeah. Anyway, so the fifth stage in the design thinking process is the test stage. So in the stage, you will be testing your prototype and receive constructive feedback from your users. You should experiment with each prototype and ask questions to users regarding their experience with your prototype and also observe their behavior while they are testing your prototype. You'll usually create multiple prototypes and then change like 1 or 2 variables in each one. So can someone tell me, this is kind of science related, why should I only change like 1 or 2 variables? Why shouldn't I change like the entire thing?
My name is Elizabeth, and I'm part of the Hector Garcia Molina team. And I think you should only change a couple at a time because, I mean, for one, if we're talking kind of sciencey, if you change a whole bunch of factors and you don't really know what stayed the same, and now you don't know what the solution is because your control group has been completely thrown out the window.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like control group. Yep, you said it. Basically sciencey. I'll take one more and then we can move on.
I'm Eileen. I'm from the Kimberly Bryant team. You wouldn't want to change too much at one time because if you change something and you don't like it, you wouldn't know exactly where you went wrong because there's so much stuff you've changed.
Yeah, perfect. Simple and easy. But yeah, you guys, again, hit it on the nail. So you shouldn't change too much at a time just because it's better to see like, oh, which qualities like you liked and you didn't like according to like what the user's feedback is. So if you change too many at a time, you don't really know like what exactly it was that they didn't like, or what was good for your prototype, what was bad. Obviously, if you like want to scrap your idea entirely and then come up with a new one, that works. But if we're like just, doing one prototype and then trying to like make it better or improve it gradually, it's better to like improve like a few features at a time. But yeah, great job, guys. But yeah, after you build your prototypes, you'll have your users compare the prototypes that you've created. You can ask them what prototypes they prefer, which ones they dislike. And it's also very crucial for you to understand why they prefer one over the other. And you should also identify the pros and cons of each prototype. Make sure to make modifications, to rebuild and to refine your prototype as well, as this feedback will help you improve and build upon your future prototypes and eventually your real innovation. The testing stage also provides an opportunity to empathize and understand your users' needs. Okay, great job, guys. So with that, we're basically done with the design thinking process. It wasn't too hard, right? It was pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and all of the steps, made sense. So with that, I would like to talk about, can design thinking be combined with artificial intelligence? Yes, they can be combined. So design thinking reframes the development methods that only focus on improving artificial intelligence itself. So it's really important for people to realize that you should think about artificial intelligence in a design thinking perspective, right? So if you don't utilize empathy and a human-centered approach, then you might not be able to solve the problem because it's not truly targeting the user's needs, right? If you're not thinking about it through a user's perspectives, how can you argue that this algorithm or what this app is actually solving the user's needs? So you need to utilize empathy to really help you create an app that solves your users' problems, right? So if you only look at artificial intelligence from a technology perspective, you are losing the human process or the human aspect in this process. So combining design thinking with artificial intelligence is a very essential element of successful AI design to make sure that artificial intelligence is, again, truly targeting real human needs, and it also accelerates the success of AI technology. So again, you guys will be tackling major issues such as education inequity, gender inequality, and climate change. So it's very imperative for you guys to combine design thinking and AI together to combat these issues. And then one more point I'd like to make is that design thinking can also be combined with sustainability. And why should I consider this? Well, design thinking focuses on the user's needs, right? That's what makes design thinking special. That's what makes design thinking. But what about the needs of our environment, right? So we always consider that our users have unique needs that needs to be targeted, but we also need to consider that the earth has needs, right? We need to protect our environment as well. We need to help make a sustainable earth. So I think it's a very important point to also kind of combine design thinking with sustainability so that you can help build a better earth as well. And this will be a win-win situation for both your users and for your earth as well. And with that, that brings me to my last slide, which is to get ready to hack. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me now. I'm a little limited on time, but yeah, feel free to ask real quick. And then if you would like to know more about design thinking for teens, then you can always go to dt4t.org to learn more about our organization. Yeah.
Okay, so any questions or? All right. Okay, thank you, Kelly. That was really an inspiring and very motivating explanations and everything. And I'm sure many kids here who have joined for the first time would have got a, they would have started to think, this is my passion or something. And thank you very much for all the explanation that you had today with us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you guys, gained a better understanding of design thinking and that you'll, utilize it in your hacking experience for this hackathon. But yeah, thank you for having me here. It was really great to talk to all of you and listen to your, answers to my questions. Okay, thank you.